Good morning, guys, and welcome to Utah Motorsports campus. I'm out here this weekend for a race weekend, getting the Z prepped and getting it ready to go out on track. I got the Z cleaned up and got the aero back on it. We've got the canards, we've got the splitter, we've got the fender vents right here because I'm running the Toyo tire this weekend instead of the Hoosier. Toyo tire, I can have 30 more horsepower, but I don't have it. However, last time I ran the Toyo tire, I was 100 pounds heavier, and so I've taken that 100 pounds out. The car should perform quite a bit better. I've got different suspension. So I'm hoping that I'm competitive on the Toyo tire. If I'm competitive on the Toyo tire, then that means that I can add that 30 horsepower. And once I add that 30 horsepower, I should be competitive on a national level, not just a local level. This wing is massive and it looks so good on the Z. I've always said don't drive a race car on the street. Not the safest thing in the whole entire world. I do have a dealer plate. Maybe I should try it. Racing is fun, but it comes with a lot of work. Check all this stuff out, guys. I've got to take all this stuff out of my truck. I've got to unload my trailer. I had to load it all into the trailer. I had to load the car into the trailer. I had to load all this stuff into the truck. I have to unload it all. I have to load it back up and then put it all away when I get back home. It is not easy, it's exhausting, but it's fun, it's worth it. If you aspire to race, you should give it a try. I know it's expensive, I know it's hard, I know it's all these things. It was an aspiration of mine to be able to get to this point in my life. I am 44 years old now. It's not like I'm 20 years old. I wish I would have started when I was younger, but I was so afraid to spend money on tires that I wouldn't do it. So I waited until I was about 30 years old before I ever got on track. I wish I would have done it younger, but I am glad that I saved the money that I didn't end up spending on racing at the time. But if you ever get a chance or an opportunity to go to a track, put some time in on a track and learn anything on a track, it's worth going. Try it, trust me. All right, guys, to be ready for a race day, you gotta make sure you do a couple of things no matter what. First, you gotta torque the lug nuts. I like to use 85 foot-pounds. Next, we need to check our tire pressures. I haven't been on track yet, so I like to be at 26 pounds. I'm at 22, I need to add some air pressure. Once I add that air pressure, I've got to add some fuel to the car, and I'm good to go. Ultimately, the Toyo tire ended up being a little bit more competitive than I thought it would be. I ended up taking second position both days in ST4 class. I felt like it could be a lot worse. I know 100% the Hoosier tire is a better tire, it's a stickier tire, but I think adding more power to my car on the Toyo tire might be a better ticket, because then I would be able to keep up with everybody else in my class in a straight line, and I was still doing well in the corners. Like if they were behind me and I had the power, they weren't gonna be able to get by me very easily. They'd really have to work for it. But if I had the power, my corner exits would be really strong, and I really don't think that they would be able to get by me. I really think that there would be a possibility they'd have a hard time catching me instead of me having a hard time catching them. It's really hard to know. If I do build a motor and I put a motor in this car, then I could make more power and I could actually detune it so that the engine is running a lot more, efficiently. Maybe I'd have a better torque curve, and I could also even detune it more and still go back to the Hoosier. I've got 2 ECUs, so I could do 2 different ECU maps. I could do one with lower power for the Hoosier, I could do one with more power for the Toyo, and both of them would be like peak tunes, so that my torque curves would be excellent, everything would be really strong, and then I could go back and forth between the 2 tires and figure out for sure which tire would be faster, which tire is more consistent. I know that the Hoosier is definitely more consistent throughout the entire course of a race. The Toyo is a good tire, it's pretty quick, but it definitely starts to fall off at the end. It would be really interesting to find out which tire would perform at the peak power that it is allowed to run at. Hopefully I can end up building a motor and finding that out and letting you guys know.